sort of as you move closer to one or the other. Not sure if that makes sense still to you. So let's say you've got dogs, you've got cats on the other end, then you'll have, in between, you'll have things like jackals. Obviously jackals would be quite close to dogs, or wolves, which essentially are dogs. You'll have all your cats, everything from a domestic house cat to a leopard or a lion. And then in between those you'll have things like your civets, genets, which are like mongooses. You'll have your different mongoose species, badgers, and so forth. Now hyenas fall in between basically your badgers and your mongoose. So you can say they're sort of almost between cats and dogs if you wanted to simplify it like that, but to be quite correct, they fit in just between your badgers and your mongooses. Fantastic, we're looking at that little guy again. I say little guy quite loosely. Could obviously be a little girl as well, quite difficult to see. When they're young it's even harder. As they get older and older you can normally see the females because they're bigger and they also behave more dominant within the clan. But that little one, you can see him compared to the older cousins. Big enough now to start coming out as well. He's starting to get his spots. These are spotted hyena, just in case you weren't sure which species of hyena this is. And he's now getting big enough to start becoming curious about his surroundings and his environment. Start playing around, leave the den at night. Something he's been anxiously waiting for. Up to a few weeks ago still, we'd sit here in the morning sometimes. The other two would be running around the den, playing outside, and he'd be sitting right at the entrance, dying to come out, but not quite. It's nice to see the smaller one also joining the outside fun. Sort of interest sake, the other species of hyena that you get, very different from spotted hyena. They're not as, or they don't live in such big groups or big clans like these guys do. In southern Africa you get the brown hyena, which are normally almost solitary unless you get a male and female mating or something like that. Very different from the spotted hyena also in their social behavior. You don't have the female dominance as much. So your brown hyena, and then also your aardwolf, which is a little smaller species of hyena. A big aardwolf would be about the size of this youngster we're looking at now. And aardwolf are purely termite eaters. And then in North Africa you also get the striped hyena, North and East Africa. This is fantastic, looking at them like this. They pretty much unaware of us. They came to investigate the car once or twice. They might do so again just now. Most young animals, but hyenas especially, they're incredibly curious little animals, so they do find everything in their surroundings worthwhile investigating. But at the moment they've got something to play with in whatever they're looking at in the bottom of that hole. It really is awesome to see them like this. They, like I said, not really aware of us. We don't have a big spotlight on them. They're just in their natural environment. Pretty much dark out here now. And we're just silently looking on. Totally not intruding, or not intruding at all into their world. It's a very good part of being out here if you can integrate into the wild area or into the wilderness in such a way that you become part of it in a non-intrusive way. In other words, we're not influencing things in any direction. We're not helping predators or helping prey species or chasing animals around or feeding them at all. We're just part of it. They accept us as something that's part of their surroundings. because of that we get to see totally natural behavior. So we don't see behavior that's altered for our benefit or because of us being there. It's just what these animals would have been doing if we weren't here as well. And that really is awesome. Little guy is very active, keeping Rob busy here in the back. Even 4 arms would do. As always, a huge part of their investigation of their surroundings is linked to their smell. Hyenas have got an incredible sense of smell. Obviously their eyesight and hearing also very good, but they can smell a carcass at a very long distance, kilometers away. And even smaller things, the smallest little bit of food or whatever might be around, tracks even, they can really smell incredibly well. So you'll often see hyenas investigating things with their nose as well as their eyes. Hey little dude, isn't he just awesome? Around. I'm going to have to come up with some names for these youngsters quite soon. I'm threatening for a while to do so, but the thing with naming animals is always a tricky thing, apart from all the different people in the area that want to have a say in it as well, obviously. All the different people that work here and the different lodges. More importantly is almost like you want animals to reveal themselves. You don't want to just call them John, Mary and Mark, because it's a little bit impersonal. Sometimes you get specific characteristics, maybe specific markings on the animal. As soon as we sit here one morning and it's nice and daylight, we'll have a good look at them, try and see some IDing marks on the two bigger small ones, the two larger cubs.